How do you stay motivated in the month of Ramadan to continue to pursue your goals, especially in the context of staying on top of your training, something that you've been doing before the month began? With the added rigor of the worship and everything that the Ramadan comes with, how do you continue to not compromise or not let go of your progress that you've made both on the mats and in the gym? As I'm recording this video, we are past the beginning of Ramadan. We're approaching the first week mark. We're still within the first 10 days. However, there's a thing that happens where in the beginning, people come in, just like some people who are inexperienced with a marathon, they'll come in hard, they'll come in strong. People will be coming in droves with a lot of energy and excitement, and rightly so, into the month of Ramadan. And when that first weekend comes in, they go even harder. And then once the weekend is up and you come Monday, you're in the groove of things. Your body has kind of acclimated and adapted to the new eating schedule. But the novelty of this new month has begun to worn off. The excitement, you're over it. The sense of urgency of like, all right, we're in the month now. Now let's kind of get through the day. And so with that, there's going to be certain whispers and compromises that are going to be gnawing at you. Take, for example, just from a personal standpoint, I had every intention of getting on the mats today, but I didn't. When you say yes to one thing, you are going to say no, maybe unintentionally, to something else. And you got to be okay with that. I had every intention of coming out to maybe the 6:45 class. The thought was, my wife would come home with my older kid from his jiu-jitsu class. His class is around 5 p.m. I could try to catch a 6:30 class, but practically speaking, logistically, that's not going to happen. So the next best option is to catch the 7:30 class. Today I'm working, my wife comes home, clean up stuff, iftar, being interrupted back and forth, get back into doing some stuff. And I pick my head up off the desk and I realize, oh no, it is 7:21. Ain't no way I'm going to make it to the 7:30 class in time. And the idea I had in my mind was that, all right, hit up the 7:30 class, be out there by 8:30, and catch at least the last 4 rakahs at the masjid. I'll merge my Isha prayers, which is the last prayer of the day. I get the blessings of being in the congregation, and then catch at least the last 4 and call it a night. At least that would be the night. That would be a typical training night for me. Now, I have a decision to make. Question of discipline is, what do I do after? Do I go home and sleep, or do I go to the gym? You don't do something because it's easy. You do whatever it is that you're going to do because you're committed to it. Martial arts is something that has been a part of my life since I was a kid. By the time I was in the 3rd grade, my parents were like, all right, fine, we're going to put you in the martial arts. Part of it was because I was getting beat up in school, but that's a different story. When I first earned my purple belt in jiu-jitsu almost 3 years ago, one of the goals that I had made is like, hey, you know what? I want to compete in 20 tournaments in 2 years. And at the time, I thought that was reasonable. Almost 2 years in, I hadn't even competed in one. Now, circumstances, right? Whether it's like whatever tournament would come in, it was either like work-related schedule stuff or family stuff or other commitments that took priority over my desire to compete in tournaments. And not just compete in tournaments, but I wanted this classic shot of me taking somebody and throwing them over my shoulder and slamming them on the ground, like and a win for the gold. Like that is the image in my mind. Now, in the last 6 months, I've managed to compete in 5 tournaments, and I have lost every single match. So either a combination of submission and point. What is the cost of compromising? My gym teacher in high school, my freshman year, I remember I went up to him, and I tell him, hey, it's Ramadan, we're fasting, so I'm not going to be participating in gym today. And he goes, I've had champion athletes walk through these halls. You're gonna participate in gym today. And so I'm like, okay, I'm participating in gym today. Ramadan is not an excuse to pause things. In fact, it's the opposite. Ramadan is the excuse or the reason to intensify. It is a month of intensity that you engage in. The thing that you want to protect yourself against is the notion of building a habit of not showing up. That's the worst thing that you can do. Show up for what you need to do during Ramadan, intensify in your personal growth, your spiritual growth, and continue to show up, even if it's at a lesser degree, but don't stop. Keep showing up.
Give me the ability to subdue my opponents in tournament where I throw them over my shoulder and submit them in record time. My sister-in-law's son, he's 6 years old. One of his teammates submitted a kid in Naga this past week in North American Grappling Association, and he ended up getting the record for the fastest submission. Is that what I'm looking for? I don't know. Like, I was just, what is record time? This is where, like, I'm going to refine that dua. When you have doubt in something, is like maybe you're not very clear or specific enough for what you want.
So this here is my daily dopamine tracker. What this is a daily tracker of whether or not I showed up. So for example, right here, I trained on the 21st, which is a Saturday. And so Saturday is in midday, so I put a line through the middle. So a line means I showed up. A line through the middle is when in the day I showed up, as opposed to on the 18th, I showed up to the mat, and it was the evening class. So I put a line towards the bottom. Part of the benefit is that as you're tracking, you're able to see where there's activity. Now, there is a color system here. Blue is if I show up to the gym for strength training and conditioning. Red is if I show up to jiu-jitsu. And a check mark is the day that I engaged in fasting. I've circled dates for when there's a tournament like Jiu-Jitsu World League over here, and tracking my weight and weight cutting with relation to that in the top and the bottom, how the weight started, how the weight ended. Now, the whole idea here is as I'm tracking in a given month, at the end of the month, I'm going to tally up how many days I went for training. I'll put a triangle for jiu-jitsu. And then how many days I went for strength training, I'll put like a circle, because the circle is like a kettlebell, or the side profile of a barbell weight. And I'll also put the days that I was able to engage in fasting. And I'll also track my weight. Now, initially what I was doing, I was tracking my weight at the end of the month. What I started doing is tracking the highs and the lows in terms of, and this actually gave me a better picture of my progress. And I started doing that as I started trying to make weight for the different tournaments that I was enrolled in. And so this is basically a quick map. What I wanted to do is I wanted to share this. If you want to download this PDF, print one out for yourself, go to Kinko's and simply get one printed 11 by 17. It's sized. The PDF is sized for 11 by 17, but you can tell them to print it how big or small. And so this way, you're able to continue to chart your progress. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to print for 2026. I'm going to print so that it covers the entirety of the wall. So it's going to be slightly bigger. Each year is a new iteration, but the document that you have access to right now is the latest version. I would say go ahead and download that. And that's it, guys. I'll see you soon.